We've been here before. We've stared down the barrel of a twin-striped Mustang with more than 500 horsepower and the name of a Texas chicken farmer across its fanny. The last one, the 2013 Shelby GT350, had 662 horsepower, in fact, and was said to go over 200 miles per hour. It didn't, not for us, anyway. Even so, it was what a Shelby Mustang should be, what it has been for decades. A hot quarter mile with a side of smoky burnout. It was a muscle car with more. Mustang lovers got sweaty, but as usual, the rest of the auto world just shrugged and moved on with evolution. Ford says it's different this time. It says the new Shelby GT350, a name positively gestational with history, is a light-year leap in sophistication and handling. It says the flat-plane crank V8 delivers 8,000 revolutions per minute, that the magnetic suspension and custom, cross-drilled brake system and Michelin Superstick tires prove that the company is serious about achieving world-class handling. Well, Ford says a lot of things. Our natural skepticism, honed to a katana's twinkle by years of Shelby's with skull-rattling rides and plodding dynamics, marched proudly into the cockpit of the new GT350, whereupon it died instantly on the car's red start button. Papa. Oh. Maybe they're serious this time. With the 6-speed slotted into gear and the surprisingly light clutch lifted, the GT350 leapt onto the asphalt of Monterey's Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. First corner and first impressions. Tight, tighty down, stable, maybe a little bit of push, but, hey, the car's cold and a bit heavy. Wind it out. Wait, where's the red line? Nowhere. It doesn't exist. The sucker just keeps straining, keeps revving, keeps swelling with a glorious brassy, unmuffled, rhapsodic roar. The anticipated upshift was forgotten as another corner approached. The brakes, oh woof. Such brakes! Chomp down, but the nose doesn't dive. The car isn't crossed up or squirming, it's flat and stable and ready to turn right now. Less understeer this time, a perfect arc scribed from the white line to apex to white line. And it's on the gas again, the sound flooding back, that addictive, dazzling, erotic exhale of lyric fire. Yes. Yes, indeed. Ford is serious. With the $49,995 GT350 and the even more trackety $63,495 GT350R, Ford wants to quit the pony car sphere that the Mustang has inhabited since 1964. Supposedly using Carroll Shelby's original race Series D Shelby GT350 as its guiding Polaris, the engineers set out to build a no-excuses track machine, more multi-talented than the GT500 blunderbuss it replaces. That car was all about muscle power and 200 miles per hour. This one is a little lighter, a lot more lithe, and perhaps able to finally get the attention of non-muscle car types. You say you have a BMW but want something different, possibly American-made, but a Corvette isn't your thing and a Camaro Z28 is too brutish. Ford wants to talk to you. In the grander scheme, this is part of the internationalization of Ford's US product line in general, from Fiestas to Transits. Today's auto industry economics demand that you play on a world stage, which in a sporty car means world-class dynamics. The Mustang can no longer be just an island of romantic longing for drag strip Christmas trees and fluorescent lit drive-ins. Okay, yes, the GT350 is North America only for the time being, but its mean and manners are more BMW M4 than typical monster Mustang, even if the tire shredding line lock feature carries over into the Shelby. Really, the Cadillac ATS V Coupe, so enriched and able, is a better comparison to the GT350 than what seems to be its natural domestic competitor, the outgoing Chevrolet Camaro Z28. Well, the CAD is a good comparison except for the Shelby's oddly unique V8. We've complained about turbo engines and their lack of character. You want an engine with character? The GT350's Voodoo V8 is Brad Pitt, the Terminator, and James Bond coming at you with matching wry grins. Everybody wants to know first what this 5.2-litre, 526 horsepower engine sounds like. It's not a loping boom boom like we're used to from a muscle car, but rather a faster, more syncopated thrum that is more like what you hear from a Ferrari. Still, it doesn't sound like a Ferrari, mainly because it doesn't breathe like a Ferrari. In case you've missed our many prime memos on the subject, here is a highly condensed update. This is a slightly bored and stroked version of the Mustang GT's 5.0-litre V8 but with a flat plane crankshaft, meaning the connecting the journals are 180 degrees out, like in a Ferrari 458 or Ferrari California, rather than at 90-degree intervals as on almost every other V8 in production. The Mustang does not weigh like a Ferrari, however, because Ford's engine is quite different. For one thing, it has a single intake and dual exhausts, as opposed to a dual intake and a single large muffler, as on a Ferrari. Also, rather than the Ferrari's setup of, effectively, two four-cylinder engines joined at the crankshaft, where the center two pistons of each bank are 180 degrees out from the outer two, the Ford has a different arrangement. It puts each piston 180 out from the next one in line. This is mainly because Ford wanted a single large throttle body for better packaging and a power spread more befitting a Mustang. Ford Performance's chief functional engineer, Kerry Baldery, standing trackside at Laguna and pausing to wait as each GT350 bellowed past, said the idea of a flat plane crank happened after it was decided to replace the supercharged GT500 with a naturally aspirated V8 in excess of 500 horsepower. Absenta blower, making that kind of sauce takes some tricks, especially if you're sticking with port fuel injection. Ford engineers wanted to see why Ferrari is so enamored with flat cranks. They found out. A lighter, leaner crankshaft reduces windage losses and means faster wind-up. That, plus some heavy work on reducing internal friction, produced a Mustang V8 that is the most esoteric but also the most convincing proof of Ford's intentions to do this one right. No doubt, the resolve to go flat had an effect on decisions in other departments. Well, if we're going to do that, then we'd better give it good brakes, etc. The engineers combed the internet. Ford liked Brembo's monoblock brake calipers but preferred exotic, radially pinned composite iron aluminum rotors from a small German supplier called SHW. The R gets 19-inch carbon fiber wheels from Australia's Carbon Revolution, a tiny craft shop that was making its product in a pole barn before Ford Googled it. Getting small suppliers up to speed to meet rigorous original equipment durability and quality benchmarks was a significant challenge for the program, says Baldery. The GT350R represents the first use of carbon fiber wheels on a volume production car. In the suspension and tires, though, Ford went with some well-known quantities. Magnet or geological shocks, part of the $6,500 track package on the base 350 and included on the R, make the dampers highly reactive and flexible, giving the suspension engineers much wider latitude in the spring, shock, and anti-roll bar tuning. And Michelin's best rubber was spec'd, including Michelin Pilot Super Sports for the 350 and Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s for the GT350R. For more on the GT350 and GT350R's impressive chassis, check out our deep dive. The Mustang GT's prodigious weight, just over 3,800 pounds, was shaved from various locations, including from the engine, the lighter aluminium front knuckles, and a wholesale transmission swap. The GT350's Tremec 3166-speed manual, the only transmission offered, knocks a few pounds off the heavier Getrag MT82 six-speed in the Mustang GT while delivering quicker shifts. Ford quotes weights of 3,655 pounds for a strip-down GT350R to 3,791 pounds for a GT350 with a track pack. During our single day of driving on the Monterey Peninsula, we weren't able to experience the base GT350. All of them had track packs or were ours. Unlike Shelby's of yore, the new GT350 on its optional magnetic dampers swallows the road much better, leaving contact lenses and dentures in place. The transmission has short throws and an easy precision, and the clutch pedal's relative lightness means the GT350 can be an everyday elixir if you want. Those of you already accustomed to the sudden, explosive shove of modern turbo engines must turn back your clocks a bit. The big V8 isn't peaky, but neither will it pull a stump at 1,500 revolutions per minute. The torque curve apogees at 4,750 revolutions per minute, a lofty number in these pressurized days. However, the Voodoo is more about the journey than the destination. The spin-up is an even and incredibly long crescendo of oral violence, with the real liftoff happening at 3,500 revolutions per minute when the engine comes into its wind. From there it goes, and goes, and goes. You never seem to run out of revs. On a track, it means less shifting, which means quicker lap times. Only a longer-legged BMW, or maybe a turbo-free Lamborghini, offers a similar experience. This is the way performance engines used to be, not as anything boost bombs but as measured and controlled rheostats. We are likely witnessing the final opus of the naturally aspirated V8. Even Ferrari has given up on it. Honours to Ford for ushering out an era with a magnificent finale. We said no excuses earlier, but there are a few. Ford's own version of the Michelin Pilot Supersports is slightly conservative, with smaller blocks and plenty of siping. Clearly, as with the Germans who use similar versions of the Supersport, Ford wants some wet weather capability. The trade-off is some understeer when the GT350 is pushed. Worse, the same dull steering rack as in more menial Mustangs carries over, here with a leisurely 16.5:1 ratio. The electric booster has revised software maps for its 3 driver selectable modes, which are even different from GT350 to GT350R, but coding alone can't cure this mass-market system of its confidence-sapping numbness. No doubt, this is the first component the engineers would use a blank check to change. Move up to the GT350R with its tackier tires and the understeer diminishes. Ford claims more downforce for this model than a Porsche 911 GT3. It's impossible to verify, but the R is riveted to the asphalt, its suspension digesting the various jumps and curbs of Laguna with an unflappable equilibrium while you are held fast in the deeply bolstered buckets. The brake pedal stayed firm and potent for us, but we were given only a few consecutive laps to warm it. And under orders from Ford's trackside safety mavens, we could run the car only with its stability control in the track mode, not fully off. The system mostly stayed out of the picture, only coming in to modulate the throttle on the loose, bumpy corkscrew. We'll get a better track test of the GT350R at our next lightning lap. Meanwhile, about 4,000 or so GT350S and a much smaller number of Rs will go to dealers on an annual basis. Prepare for hefty markups. Except for that, this new Shelby isn't like any of its predecessors. The muscle car is finally moving on. Going deeper, GT350 versus GT350R. Go for the base $49,995 Shelby GT350 and you get the mega motor and wide-body front fenders to go with it, plus the redesigned Recaro seats, Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires on 19-inch aluminium wheels, and a sportier suspension tuned than a regular Mustang GT. The tires are 29,535 in front and 30,535 in back. The $6,500 track pack brings the magnetic suspension, a front shock tower brace, firmer springs, and oil coolers for the engine, transmission, and rear differential. Or a separate $7,500 technology package buys most of the track pack content plus some comfort items such as auto climate control, navigation, and heated and cooled leather seats. The R package adds $13,500 to the base price and includes the track package plus a carbon fiber wing and wheels, which weigh a mere 18 pounds apiece, and Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, colossally sized 30,530 in front and 31,530 in back. The R also moves around some interior switches and dispensers with the back seats, the radio, air conditioning, and the backup camera, most of which you can add back in with a $3,000 electronics package. Check every box, including the painted black roof $695, the one extra cost paint yellow, $495, over the top racing stripes $475, and the special car cover $375, and you're at $68,535. Thus, the absolutely loaded GT350R is just $2,140 more than the stripper price of a BMW M4, and about $4,900 more than the base price of the Cadillac ATS-V Coupe. It's also about $6,500 less than the old Z28. At the GT350's launch, Ford harped on the car's value. Considering how different it is from the regular $33,200 Mustang GT, it has a case.